My whole body tensed up, my whole face, like it was just this whole drama scene. And she's like, honey, like, you can't do that. We have to work on this. And so she propped me up in front of this mirror and she's like, okay, let's practice. Like, I want you to see what you really look like. And when I saw myself, I was like, oh my God, the parents gonna think that like their kid's dying, like the way that I look.
Welcome to the Schools of Excellence podcast, a place for insightful conversations about building sustainable schools of excellence. Join me each week as we explore the importance of leading with your values, creating impact, and leaving a lasting legacy. My goal on the show is to provide you with clarity, elevate your mindset, and equip you with practical strategies and inspiration. I'm Chani Olshansky, a proud mother of four, a former New Yorker, now savoring sunny Florida vibes. With a professional journey spanning 18 years across all levels of school leadership, I bring nuanced insight that delve into the intricate details of running a center, as well as the broader visionary aspects of leadership. Thank you for joining me for this conversation. Let's build a legacy of excellence together.
Hi there, and welcome to today's mini training on parent conferences. Everything that you need to know. My name is Chani Olshansky, and I'm the founder of Discover Ed Consulting, and I'm so excited to share this with you today. So let's dive right in. The first thing is I want to share with you the perspective of a parent. I'm a parent. I'm anxious about what the teacher will say about my son. Now, some of these phrases might be very relevant to your parent body, and some of them might totally not be. But I want to share with you all of them just so you can get an idea of what parents are really thinking about. I'm anxious about what the teacher will say about my son. What if I don't have enough time to ask all my questions? I wonder what the teacher will show me. What does the classroom look like? Who are my child's friends? And lastly, I'll get to the bottom of who's hurting my son. And so these are some things that the parents are thinking about before they come to the conference. The next thing is you, the teacher. The way that you present yourself at the conference will show the parents how you interact with their children and run your class. You want them to see organization. You want your classroom to be, you want the conference to be super organized and structured. You want to be very clear and supportive, and we'll go into some more examples of what I mean by that. And making sure that you're positive and enthusiastic, professionally dressed. And while this can sound obvious, nothing is obvious. At least that's kind of what I've learned. So no slippers, no paint stains. You want to make sure that you're sleek and super, super clean. Using appropriate and professional language when you're describing a child. Never mention another child's name, even if the parent brings it up. You can say something like, right now we're talking about your child. Be aware of your tone, your body language, and your biases. And so this is something that I'm very grateful for. One of my mentors, Dana Levy, who's a pediatric clinical psychologist. She used to work in NYU and now she works in Westchester. We were prepping together for a very difficult conference. And we were role playing together, and every time I kind of was segueing into the concern, my whole body tensed up, my whole face, like it was just this whole drama scene. And she's like, honey, like, you can't do that. We have to work on this. And so she propped me up in front of this mirror and she's like, okay, let's practice. Like, I want you to see what you really look like. And when I saw myself, I was like, oh my God, the parents think that like their kids like the way that I look. So if you're the kind of person who's very dramatic and, just is very, very dynamic, make sure that you're role playing a little bit beforehand. Boundaries. Do not speak about your own children. Parents have 20 minutes and they are only interested in what you have to say about their kids. So for those of you that have your own children, don't share, oh, my son does the same thing. They really don't care. They don't care what your child does. You don't have any papers in front of you. So like other papers from other parents, just being professional again about that piece. If you're caught off guard. So for example, if a parent comes in and says something like, it's such a big deal to get my kid here to school in the morning and he never wants to come and he hates coming to school. Why does he hate coming to school? What do you do here all day with them? So if you're caught off guard with something like that, you want to breathe always first, and say, thank you for bringing this to my attention. I would like to think it over and get back to you. You can never take back anything that you said. You can always tell a parent, I'm going to get back to you on that. Here are some examples of inappropriate use of language. Your child is so cute. I could just eat him up. He's so delicious. He's the most well-behaved kid in the class. Your son hits all the kids. No one likes him. He really whines a lot. It's so annoying. He's so tired in the morning. Please put him to bed on time. I think he has ADD. Maybe you should take him for an evaluation. He doesn't really have friends. He's so quiet. He might have a learning disability. He doesn't get the circle time discussions. So while some of these are more extreme than others, really try to think about how are the ways that you talk about the child even when the parent isn't there. Do you say some of these things? Because how we talk about the child creates the image of how we portray him to the parents. And so it's important not to even say these things even if the parent isn't around. Professional. A pleasure to have in our class. We're working with Jack to use his words. The skill is still emerging. Again, I want to give credit to Dana. She taught me this word and I'm obsessed with it since. Where when you're telling a parent something that the child's still working on, but it's not like these big red flags and all these like bells and whistles going on, but it's just something important that the parent should know about. You say that the skill is still emerging. You can ask questions to the parents like, what is Jack's morning routine like? Jack chooses to parallel play at this time. We're working with him to interact more with his peers, and we've prepared various activities that foster this. So notice how I say that he's parallel playing while all his friends are engaging, but we're working with him and we've prepared activities that foster this. Jack is an active boy who loves to participate. He's learning to take turns and share his space with his peers. You can suggest play dates with children that you feel that he would play well with. This is a time that it is appropriate to mention another child's name. So for example, if you feel like a child really can benefit from some play dates, you would want to bring that up. And depending on how the parents respond, like if they say something like, oh yeah, we just haven't had a chance to get around to it, great, they know what to do. But some parents might need a little bit more direction, like, oh, we don't really know anyone here. So that's when you can suggest play dates. Before the conference, create a comfy space, a visual schedule, which we'll talk about in a minute. And you want to have a clock or any way to tell time. Don't use your cell phone. So you want to have some kind of way where you can glance at the clock or your own watch so that you can be able to gauge the conference. You want to have an organized system where you can easily share each child's work. Practice with your co-teacher and your roles should be clear. So for example, one teacher shares the anecdotes, another shares growth and answers questions. You want to have at least 3 strengths about each child prepared. Know what their favorite toy or activity is and prepare samples of the child's work. A sample schedule of the conference can be the intro, how your child is doing in class, the class goals, specific goals for your child, and then Q&A at the end. What if I have a concern about a child? The first thing is always you want to discuss your concern with the director. Prepare several clear examples of how this behavior manifests itself in the classroom. You can't just say the child hits. You need to be specific. You want to avoid vague terms. So one year I had a story where I wanted to tell a parent that their child was hitting, and I said that your child uses his hands a lot. And when I followed up with the parent, he had said, I didn't realize that you meant that he was hitting. I thought, when you said he uses his hands, I thought you meant he's a very dynamic speaker, that he uses his hands when he speaks. So some language that you can use is a concern that we have or something that we're noticing. You want to give a few seconds for it to sink in, and then you can say, have you seen this before or at home? You really want to get as much data as possible at the conference from the parents so that you can truly help the child. If the parent says, we've seen this, then you want to follow up by saying, how do you respond to this behavior and what has worked? So for example, if you're talking about biting and the parent says, oh yeah, he bites all the time, he always bites me. So instead of saying like, oh, you can say, how did you respond to when he bites you? And what have you found that has worked? You really want to get a picture of, are they dealing with the concern? Are they dealing with the issue? How have they been responding to him? Is he getting a lot of negative attention? Are any of their strategies working? Let the parents know that you'd like to jot different things down so you can refer back to it. So just like when you're recording a conversation, you'll always tell the person, I'm recording the conversation. The same thing is with the parents. You want to just let them know in advance that you're going to be jotting things down. Listen to the parents speak. Do not interrupt and validate as much as you can. You want to follow up by saying, we want to work with your child and we really want to figure out the best way to teach him. Let's stay in touch about this. So the first 30 seconds of the conference are going to be your segue into getting started. Welcome the parents with a smile and greet them by name. You want to make eye contact, be genuine and sincere, and then offer them a seat. So, hi Jane, it's so great to see you. Come on in. And immediately show them where their seat is. A lot of parents come in and they're very anxious. and they'll hold their coat in their hand or they'll hang onto their purse for dear life. Just think about the child that walks in on the first day that's clinging to mommy and holding his jacket and doesn't want to let go. So parents can come in the same way, just in an adult version. And so you really want to be warm and understanding and using a calm voice, and immediately begin by showing them the agenda. So a sample conference timeline can look something like this. Opening, around 3 minutes. First, we'll tell you a little bit about how your child is doing in the classroom. Then you'll have the classroom goals, which is another 3 minutes, where you'll share goals that you're doing from now in the next couple of months. Then you'll do how the child's been developing in the classroom, sharing the child's specific goals, samples of the child's work, portfolio if you're doing that, some pictures of the child in action, and using this time to weave in any concerns that you may have. And the last 5 minutes will always be for questions. Here's a sample opening. Again, I'm going to be reading this now in bullet format, so it's not going to flow as organically, but I want you to get an idea. It's so nice to see how beautifully Sam has transitioned into school. He doesn't cry a drop-off and walks in with ease and comes straight to one of the activity tables. He loves the Play-Doh and cars, and trucks are his favorite. He actually lines them up and has a name for each car. In the library, he loves to read books quietly and enjoys when his friends join him. A few days ago, he was so sweet when he saw a child crying for mommy, put his arm around him and said, "Don't worry." He's very gentle and kind to all of his friends. He's a wonderful asset to our class. Notice how specific I was about so many different examples and how I truly painted a picture about who this child, Sam, really is. Next, we go into the child's goals. As you discuss each goal, weave in the child's specific goals, and discussing now is also the time to discuss a concern. So here are some ways to give specific, concrete examples. We're noticing that Sam chooses to fall on children, specifically during gym time. We're noticing that it's challenging for Sam to concentrate during circle time. He gets easily distracted. There are times during the day that it's challenging for Sam to use his words when he wants something. Sometimes he might hit other children or cry. We're working with him on his frustration. If you're going to discuss a concern with a parent, you must give concrete examples that you've tried in the classroom. Some things that we're trying in the classroom are positive reinforcement. So you would tell the parent, if you're sharing with them about hitting, then you can say what you're doing for positive reinforcement or for distraction or setting the child up for specific goals or an incentive chart. Be sure to let the parent know what is working and what you would like the parent to do at home as well. So if you're using a specific, like if he's hitting and the way that you respond to the hit him is by using a specific response or language or whatever it is, you want the parent to be doing the exact same thing at home. Wrapping up, close with something positive about the child. Try to pick a specific story or something funny that the child said. Parents like to hear about their child in action more than your child is so adorable. Leave at least 5 minutes for questions. You can say something like, "We have 5 minutes left. Do you have any questions?" If you feel that there's not enough time, you can say, "I see that there's a lot that you need to discuss. Let's make another time to meet and continue this conversation." Again, if the parents are going close to overtime and you see that there's barely 2 minutes left, you want to make sure that you wrap up because you don't want to go into the other person's conference time. And so you can say, "I see that there's a lot you want to discuss. Let's make another time to meet and continue this conversation." When your time is up, walk the parents to the door like a good host. So your action steps are: prepare 2 short anecdotes to say about each child, one that you will open with and one to close with. Know what is the child's most enjoyable activity in the classroom. You want to know their toy, their experience that they had, something that's really memorable for the child. These actions in itself show the parent that you know their child. You want to prep the children's work in a pile in the order that the parents will be coming in. So you're not scounging around and like, "Oh, where's Jack's papers?" You want it all in order. And the final piece is, be sure to pack snacks and drinks for yourself. Talking for several hours can make you dizzy, and the parent that comes in the end deserves the same presence of mind you had for the first parent. So make sure that you're nourishing yourself so that you'll be able to speak at the end of the 7 hours, not slurred and blurred speech, but completely focused. And that's it for today's training. So if you have any questions or follow-up or just specific ideas that you weren't 100% sure about, please leave them in the comments or in the chat box, and I'll really do my best to answer them. I would love to support each and every one of you as you prepare for conferences, and I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.
If you are loving the Schools of Excellence podcast and have gotten any value out of it for your school and for yourself, I would love if you can do two things for me. One, subscribe to the show so you never miss an episode. And two, can you please leave us a review? Reviews help other school leaders know that this is the podcast to learn about building a school of excellence. And I'd be so grateful if you can do that for us. Your help and support make this show be able to listen to by thousands of other school leaders around the globe. Thanks so much for listening and giving us your time and attention each week.